Hello, we are going to be doing 6.5 today. 6.5 is about factoring trinomials. If you can see it up there. Move up the camera just a little bit. Sorry, you're going to go on a ride. There we go. Okay, so factoring trinomials. Tri meaning three, nomial just meaning letters and all that goodness. Okay, so basically what we've been working with, but a trinomial specifically is three things. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when they ask you to factor a trinomial, they don't have anything in common. These have x's in common. These don't really have anything in common. These don't really have anything in common. So when that's the case, you're going to use the T method to factor. So you guys remember the box method? This is the opposite of the box method. So instead of multiplying and putting things in the box, we're breaking up and dividing things out of the box. Okay, so I make a big plus sign. Okay, or we call it the T method too. Okay, so like a big T, a big plus sign. And then you're going to fill in the first two boxes here based on the first thing, and the last two boxes here based on the last thing. We're not looking at the middle thing at all. So x squared. How would you break up x squared? Okay, the only way to break that up is x times x. So that's easy. That's this first term. Okay. The second two boxes are the last term. Okay, not looking at this number at all right now. Okay, that's the biggest mistake I see is people look at the middle number. Look at the 18. Okay, and if you need to, you can list the factors. So what times what is 18? So I'm going to list them. 1 times 18, 2 times 9. Does 3 go in there? Yep, 3 times 6. Does 4 go in there? No. Does 5 go in there? No. And then we're back to 6. Okay, so in order doesn't really matter with this lesson. When we get into 6.6, order is going to matter. But for right now, these are both x, so order doesn't matter here. Okay, so you've got your 3 different options. Out of those 3 options, this tells you what to do with them. So we want to add them because it's plus. So I'm going to write a note, add. And again, make sure you're taking notes. You're physically writing this down. If you're not going to learn it. But make sure you're adding. Now, if this is a minus, you would be subtracting. Okay, so we want these numbers to add to this middle number. Okay, and the middle number is 11. So 1 plus 18, 2 plus 9, or 3 plus 6. Which one adds to make 11? That one doesn't, that one doesn't. 2 plus 9 or 9 plus 2. Again, order doesn't matter. So you can put a 2 and a 9 or a 9 and a 2. It doesn't matter. They're going to add up to 11. Now we want it to be a positive 11. This tells you what symbol you want your answer to be. We want it to be positive. If it was a minus, we want it to be negative. So we want these to be a positive and a positive because positive 2 and positive 9 make positive 11. Okay? If we wanted a negative 11, we'd make them both negative to make a negative 11. And so now our answer is just the top in parentheses and the bottom in parentheses. So the top is x plus 2 and the bottom is x plus 9. And again, it could be vice versa. It doesn't matter. That is the opposite of the box method, and this is your answer. Okay, so at this point, stop here, but I'm going to show you how you can check your answer. So just like we learned the box method, you can make a box. Make a 2 by 2 box. You can fill it in. I'll move it down so you can see a little better. X plus 2 on one side, x plus 9 on the other side. And you can fill this in just like you learned a few sections ago. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 9 times x is 9x. And 9 times 2 is 18. I'm kind of going a little fast, but that's because you've already learned this in a previous section. Again, this is your answer, okay? Right here, you need to write answer. This is just checking your answer, okay? But that is your answer. So you'd stop there. But if you want to check, you can do that. And then to double check it, you have x squared. 9 plus 2 is 11. And then plus 18. You'll notice that what I just got as an answer when I checked it was the original problem. So it's the opposite, okay? So this plus method, or the T method, or however you want to call this cross method, I've heard it called, is the opposite of the box method. Kind of like if you just picture just the outside of the box being gone and just having the inside, same idea. Okay, so again, this is your answer. You stop there. This is just checking your answer, okay? Now, you don't have to check your answer every time. If you're on a test and you're having problems and you don't think you have the right answer, I would highly suggest that you check your answer, okay? But if you are positive that's the answer, that's the only choice that works, then you're good, okay? So basically, it's just kind of like a logic problem. You're trying to figure out of these three choices, which choice made it work, okay? Only one choice will make it work. So keep eliminating stuff until it works, okay? So let's look at a couple more. Maybe you can try some on your own. Okay, so for this one, we've got a checkpoint. We've got two problems, actually. Hopefully you can see both of those. Go ahead and pause the video at this point, write those down, and try them. So you're going to make a cross for both of them. And then go ahead and fill in the different spots on your T, okay? If you're still confused, go ahead and follow along with me, and I can kind of help you as we go through. So you're going to break up the x first. So this first thing is x times x, okay? The first thing here is t times t, okay? And I'm putting little hooks on the t's so they don't look like plus signs. The second thing you're looking at is not the middle number. Don't even look at the middle number. Look at the last number. Look at the last number, okay? You're looking and seeing what they have in as a factor. Well, this one's easy, 2. What times what gives you 2? 1 times 2 or 2 times 1, right? Which is like basically the same option. So if I were to list all the factors, it's 1 times 2. There's no more factors. So it better work. If it doesn't work, something's wrong. Okay, this tells you to add. If it was a minus, you would subtract. So I need them to add to make 3. Do these add to make 3? Yeah, 1 plus 2 is 3. Now I need it to be a positive 3. So I need it to be a positive 1 and a positive 2. And so now your answer is just the top, x plus 1, and the bottom, x plus 2. Or you could have it reversed, x plus 2 and then x plus 1. That doesn't matter. Just make sure they're both plus, okay? So same thing over here. Let me move the camera a little bit. We've already got our t squared, which is t times t. We're not looking at the middle number. We're looking at the 14. We're going to list the factors of 14. 1 times 14, 2 times 7. Are there any other factors? No. Okay, so out of those two choices, which one adds to make 9? Okay, well, obviously those don't add to make 9. These do. So here we only had one option. Here we had 2. We had to pick between the two options. But it's pretty simple. 2 plus 7 makes your 9. And now you look at the middle number. You also look at the symbol to see if you want your answer to be positive or negative. And in this case, I want it to be a positive 9. So I need them both to be plus. Okay? This also tells you, this symbol here tells you if they're both plus or both negative. Okay? So if it's positive, they're both going to be the same symbol. So you can write that too. Same symbol here. And it also means that they add up. Okay? If it was negative, they're going to be a different symbol and they're going to subtract. So now your answer is t plus 2 and t plus 7. Or t plus 7 and t plus 2. It doesn't matter the order. 2 plus 7, 7 plus 2, it still makes 9. 2 times 7, 7 times 2, it still makes 14. Okay, so order doesn't matter here. So on the test, if you have this, but the option on the test is reversed, you would still pick that one. Okay, I won't put both options on there to make you choose because they're both right. Okay, so it'll be very obvious. The one with the 1 and the 2 would be correct. The one with the 2 and the 7 would be correct. Okay, and then the other options would be completely different numbers on the test. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're going to look at other examples when these aren't both plus. So that was plus plus. We're going to look at when we have plus minus and minus plus and see how it kind of changes, slightly changes what we do. But it's the same, still the same method. Okay, so for now we have example 2, which has the negative and a plus, and then example 3 has a plus and a negative. So different negatives and different pluses make different how you answer the problem slightly different. But they're all going to be this plus or cross method or T method or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so start out with that anytime you are factoring a trinomial. Okay, so let me show you that up there. Factoring a trinomial. That's what this is called. Fancy word for what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to break up n squared. That's the easy part. N times n is n squared. We're going to break up 8. We're not going to look at the 6 right now. We're just looking at the 8. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. 8. What times what is 8? Okay, 1 times 8, 2 times 4. The better you are at multiplication, the quicker you're going to be at this. Okay, there's no easy way around it. If you're not good at multiplication, it is going to be a little harder for you. So you want to make sure you're reviewing those multiplication facts. And making sure you know how to multiply to 8 very quickly or multiply to 15 very quickly. Okay, so we just have 2 choices, but you can imagine if I change that to 48, we're going to have a lot more choices, right? 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 4 times 12, 6 times 8. There's so many different possibilities with bigger numbers like 48, okay? So just keep that in mind. There might be more than just a few options, but only one option will work. So out of these 2 options, I only have 2. I need it to add. This tells me to add. If it was a minus, I would be subtracting. Okay? And it tells me I want to add to 6. And more importantly, a negative 6. So first, let's just figure out what gives me 6. 1 plus 8 doesn't give me 6. 2 plus 4, if I add them, I get 6. So I'm going to put 2 and 4 or 4 and 2. It doesn't matter the order. But I need it to be a negative 6. Now, the only way I'm going to get to a negative 6 is to make these, and since this is plus, it tells me they have to be the same symbol. This tells me they have to be different symbols. So I would write those down to kind of jog your memory for when you go to take the test or when you work on this assignment so you can remember. Not only does it tell me to add, but it also tells me that they're the same symbol. They can't both be plus, so they've got to both be minus. And to that makes a negative 6. You borrow 2, you borrow 4 more, now you owe 6. That's the only way you can get to negative 6. So out of all the choices, there's only one correct way to get it to work. Okay, and once you figured it out, it's kind of like a logic puzzle. Okay, and that's why this where you're going to use this in is just trying to figure things out. It's problem solving. When you come into a problem in your day-to-day life, you try different options. You try and figure it out. Once you find the option that works, that's what you go with. Okay, that's what we're learning here. So now your answer is the top and minus 2 and the bottom and minus 4. Okay, so make sure you write your answer out like this, okay? So I'll put it, circle it in blue. This is your answer. Okay, this is your work. This is your answer. So make sure you actually have your answer, okay? A lot of kids like to stop here, but make sure you write it out as your answer. Okay, let's look at example 3. Very similar, but there's a few differences, okay? Now instead of a plus, we have a minus. So now instead of adding, we're subtracting. Instead of being the same symbol, they're different symbols. So it's really important you label that so you can remember that. And we want them to subtract, be different symbols, and make a positive 2. So I'll show you that in just a second. So we're going to start out with y squared. That's the easy part. Y times y. Okay. 15. I need to list all the factors of 15. So I always start 1 times 15. Does 2 go into 15? No. Does 3 go into 15? Yep, 3 times 5. And then does 4 go into 15? Nope, not evenly. And then we're back to 5. Okay, so once you've done that, you kind of come full circle and you realize you tried all your options. I need them to subtract to make 2. Okay, do these subtract to make 2? No. 5 take away 3, though, that works. So 5 take away 3 works. So I'm going to use this option. Only one option will work. They're subtracting, and I want them to be different symbols to make a positive 2. Now, they have to be different symbols. One has to be positive and one has to be negative. Whichever symbol is here, that's what bigger number gets that symbol. So since this is plus, it's positive, the bigger number here has to be positive, and then the other one, the smaller number, is the minus. And that's the only way you can get 2. is 5 take away 3. You get 2. You can't do 3 take away 5 because that would be a negative 2. Okay? So it's the only way you can get positive 2. Once you figure out the only option that'll work, then that's your answer. Okay, so y plus 5 and y minus 3. Or you could have y minus 3 and y plus 5. The order doesn't matter, but the plus has to be with the 5 and the 3 has to be negative. If it's not, it is considered wrong. Now, if you're ever not sure, I'll circle this so you know that this is your answer. But if you're ever not sure if these are right, you can always go back and do the 2 by 2 box. Fill in the 2 by 2 box and it'll go right back to the original problem. Okay, so you can always double check your answers on these. There's honestly no reason to ever get these wrong because you can always go back and double check to make sure you didn't make any simple mistakes. Okay, so that is pretty much everything. And then I'm going to show you one more step, kind of tying together today's stuff and tying together what you learned the other day and putting them all together. Okay, so kind of taking this step and another step you learned a previous lesson and putting them together to be one big problem, and then we're done for the day. Okay, so for section 6.4, we're on 6.5 right now, but for section 6.4, you learned about problems like this, okay? And before we start, we didn't ever want it equal to 18. In fact, what's the only number you can have it equal to before you start? 0, okay? So you want to make sure that this is equal to 0. Now, it's not right now. It's a positive 18. So if I was to move it over, what would happen to the positive 18 is it's going to flip and become a negative 18. So I have x squared plus 3x minus 18 now because I moved it to the other side, and then it's equal. Now that it's gone, I have nothing over there. And now it's equal to 0. You cannot start the problem unless you have equal 0. Okay, whether it's 6.4 stuff or 6.5 stuff, if there's no equal 0, you have to make sure it's equal to 0. Okay, now the ones I just showed you, example 1, 2, and 3, didn't have an equal sign. Okay, they just had this. So if it's just this, you're going to make the cross and you're done. But if it's equal 0, then you do the step that I taught you for 6.4 from the previous lesson. Okay, so let's just do what we did today. Let's pretend it was just like this. Okay, if it had no equals 0. Okay, so if it has no equals 0, you would make your cross. You would break up your x squared, x times x. You would break up your 18. Okay, so 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. Those are my choices. Again, the more the better you are with multiplying, the faster this is going to be. If you have to use like a multiplication chart to look through all the factors, you can use that as well. It just takes time. Okay, so it's best to just kind of memorize those multiplication facts. So we want it to subtract. This tells us subtract to make 3. So do these subtract to make 3? No. Do these subtract to make 3? No. These do though. 6 take away 3 is 3. And I want it to be a positive 3. So I want the bigger number to be positive and the smaller number to be negative. Because this tells me not only are they subtracting, but one's positive and one's negative. They have to be different symbols. So, and if that was the case, you would be done. You would just say x plus 6, x minus 3. Okay? You would be done with the problem. However, if you remember back to the problem, it wasn't. It was equal 0. So now that it's equal 0, our problem's not done. We have to keep the equal 0 here. But I taught you how to do this with section 6.4. This was a super easy, the blue step. It was just a baby step that I taught you in 6.4. And you guys totally can do this without even showing work probably by now. So now that you've tried 6.4 a while, you probably can do this and not even show work. But if you need to, I'm going to show you what it looks like to show work. So you're going to do x plus 6 equals 0. And x minus 3 equals 0. You're going to break them both up to equal 0. Now, the opposite of plus 0 is, the opposite of plus 6 is to subtract 6. And you get a negative 6. But you probably could have bet that if you had a positive 6 here, you probably could have bet that it would have been a negative 6. And again, you can do all this and skip this last blue step if you remember that shortcut. Same thing here. If you remember the shortcut, you can skip the step, but I'm going to do it anyways. The opposite of subtract 3 is adding 3. These go away. 0 plus 3 is 3. But again, if you can see the minus 3 and you remember the shortcut becomes a positive 3, you don't have to do all the blue steps. Okay, when you're in section 6.4, you're going to want to do it just so you get used to it. But once you've done it enough and you see the patterns, it's really not necessary to show the blue work. I do want to see the black and the red, and just make sure you flip-flop them. Okay, so it's very important. If it's equal to 0, these are your answers. If it's not equal to 0, this is your answer. Okay, so just kind of be careful whether it's equal to 0 or not. And then that's pretty much everything for section 6.5. So now you should be able to go back and do the assignment for 6.5 and just let me know if you have any questions. And we'll get started on 6.6 fairly soon.